Okay, you guys are not going to believe this. Seriously. So, get this. I'm standing on the ridiculously expensive marble porch of my new house, a house my parents have never seen, by the way. And who is standing on my welcome mat, looking like two drowned rats in a thunderstorm? My mother and father. My mother is clutching a gift basket so massive it looks like she's trying to bribe God, and she's ugly crying. I'm talking full-on, mascara-streaked, snot and tears combo ugly crying. My father, who has always looked at me with a vague sense of disappointment, now looks at me like I'm holding the winning lottery ticket he just threw in the trash. Honey, my mother sobs, reaching a trembling hand out to me. We were so wrong. So wrong. We heard about the baby. A grandchild. We just want to be a part of your life again. Our grandchild's life. I just looked at them. I didn't feel anger, not really. It was something colder, heavier. I let the silence hang there for a solid 10 seconds, watching them squirm. Then I gave them a bright, sweet smile, the kind you give a stranger who asks you for directions. I'm sorry, I said, my voice as calm as a frozen lake. Do I know you? Let me tell you, the way their faces fell was almost worth the 4 years of hell they put me through. But to really get why this moment was sweeter than any revenge fantasy, you have to know how it all started. For years ago, I was just a normal 26-year-old. I had a decent job in marketing, a tiny apartment I loved, and the most incredible boyfriend in the world, Liam. Liam was, well, he was my person. He was funny, he was kind, he was wickedly smart, and he had this calm, grounding energy that just made everything feel okay. He was a software developer for a mid-sized tech company. He drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic, wore hoodies and jeans almost exclusively, and his idea of a fancy dinner was the Italian place that puts extra garlic on the breadsticks. And I was hopelessly, completely in love with him. My parents, on the other hand, were different. They weren't bad people, not in the way you see in movies. But they were obsessed with appearances, with status. We lived in one of those suburban towns where the brand of your car and the country club you belonged to were conversational currency. My dad was a partner at a mid-level law firm, and my mom ran the local historical society, which was basically a fancy way of saying she organized galas for her wealthy friends. Their entire world was a carefully curated Instagram feed of success. They had a blueprint for my life. I was supposed to marry a doctor, a lawyer, or, at the very least, an MBA with a trust fund. My older sister, Megan, had followed the blueprint perfectly. She married a guy named Chad, yes, his name was actually Chad, who worked in finance and whose family owned a string of car dealerships. They lived in a McMansion and had 2 blonde children who were already on the wait list for the right preschool. Megan was the golden child. I was the artsy one, the one who was always a bit of a disappointment because I valued things like happiness and genuine connection over a 5-car garage. So, you can imagine how the big announcement went down. We were at my parents' house for our weekly Sunday dinner, which was always a tense affair. Liam, knowing how much it meant to me, had proposed the night before in the most perfect, low-key way, in our tiny apartment, surrounded by takeout boxes and fairy lights. It was just for us. It was real. I was practically vibrating with excitement. After my dad had finished his usual monologue about the stock market, I took a deep breath. Liam and I have some news, I announced, holding up my left hand. The ring wasn't a giant rock. It was a simple, beautiful sapphire, my birthstone, flanked by 2 small diamonds. Liam had designed it himself. My mother's eyes zoomed in on the ring. I saw the flicker of something. Not excitement. Appraisal. She forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Oh, how lovely. My dad put down his fork. So, you're getting married. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact, delivered with the same enthusiasm he'd used to announce a dental appointment. Megan, of course, chimed in. Wow, congrats, little sis. Finally tying the knot. The ring is cute. Very unique. In her world, unique was a mortal insult. Her own diamond was so big it looked like she was carrying a disco ball on her finger. And then the interrogation began. Well, Liam, my father started, leaning back in his chair like a king addressing a court jester. Marriage is a significant financial undertaking. What are your long-term prospects of this? Tech place. Liam, bless his heart, was completely unfazed. They're great, sir. The company is doing really well, and I have a stable position with good growth potential. My mother sniffed. And your family? Are they from around here? What she meant was, asterisk, are they from money? Do I know them from the club? Asterisk. My parents are retired teachers, Liam said proudly. They live in Ohio. The temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Teachers. The horror. You could practically see my parents doing the math in their heads and coming up with a big, fat zero. The rest of the dinner was a masterclass in passive aggression. My parents talked at Liam, not to him. They dropped names of my ex-boyfriends who had gone on to become successful. Megan talked endlessly about her upcoming trip to Aspen and the new renovations on their summer home. They were marking their territory, making it painfully clear that Liam, with his Honda and his programmer salary and his teacher parents, did not belong. I left that dinner with a rock in my stomach. I thought, asterisk, they'll come around. Once they see how happy he makes me, they'll come around. Asterisk. Oh, my sweet summer child. I was so wrong. The next stage was what I now call the wedding planning war. A few weeks after the announcement, my mother called me, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. Honey, your father and I have been talking. We know that, well, that Liam's family isn't in a position to contribute much. We've decided we will graciously pay for the entire wedding. I was floored. For a second, I felt a rush of hope. Maybe they were trying. Mom, that's incredibly generous. But we were really planning on something small. Nonsense, she chirped. You only get married once. We have to do it right. I've already put a tentative hold on the grand ballroom at the country club for next June. And there it was. The catch. It wasn't a gift, it was a corporate takeover of my wedding. Over the next month, it became a nightmare. My guest list of 50 people was laughed at. We can't not invite the Hendersons. Your father plays golf with him. And what about the entire Historical Society board? It would be an insult. My dream of a simple, outdoor ceremony was replaced with a stuffy, 5-course seated dinner for 300 people I barely knew. She even sent me pictures of wedding dresses, all of them huge, ostentatious princess gowns. We need something classic to distract from, you know. The final straw was the cake tasting. Liam and I wanted a simple lemon raspberry cake. My mother insisted on a 7-tier monstrosity with gold leaf and sugar flowers that cost more than our car. We were at the bakery, and she and the baker were discussing the structural integrity of the 7th tier while Liam and I just sat there, like props. Liam finally spoke up, his voice quiet but firm. Mrs. Davison, I appreciate your generosity, but this isn't what we want. This is your party, not our wedding. My mother turned to him, her smile tight. Well, Liam, if you could afford the kind of wedding my daughter deserves, you would have a say. But you can't. So you don't. I saw red. I grabbed Liam's hand, stood up, and said, We're done. We'll pay for our own wedding, Mom. You can invite the Hendersons to your next gala. Her face turned to stone. The war had officially begun. It all came to a head a month before our planned wedding date. They summoned me to their house for a talk. Liam wasn't invited. It felt like I was being called into the principal's office. They sat me down in the formal living room, the one nobody ever actually lived in. My dad spoke first. We're worried about you. You're throwing your life away. This man, this programmer. What kind of future can he really give you? You grew up with a certain standard of living. I'm happy, Dad, I said, my voice shaking. I'm in love. Doesn't that matter? Love doesn't pay the mortgage, my mother snapped. It doesn't get your children into the right schools. It doesn't buy you a membership at the club. We have a reputation in this town. Your sister married well. And you're choosing to marry, beneath you. You're embarrassing us. You're embarrassing yourself. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was so nakedly transactional, so cold. "So this is it," my dad said, his voice flat. "We're giving you one last chance to see reason. You call off this ridiculous wedding, you break up with him, and we can all forget this ever happened. We'll even send you to Europe for the summer to clear your head." I stared at him. "And if I don't?" My mother's voice was like ice. "Then you are no longer our daughter. We will cut you off. No money, no contact. Nothing. You will be on your own. We will not have you dragging our family name through the mud with us. This social suicide." I stood up. The tears were coming, but I refused to let them see me cry. "Okay," I whispered. "If that's the choice, then I don't have a family anymore." I walked out the door and never looked back. Liam and I got married 2 weeks later. It was a perfect day. We had the ceremony in a friend's beautiful backyard with about 30 people there. His parents flew in from Ohio, and they were the warmest, kindest people I had ever met. They hugged me and told me they were so happy to have me as a daughter. I cried, for real this time, but they were happy tears. The day of my wedding, I got a single text from my mother. It read, "Asterisk, you've made your bed. Don't come crying to us when his programmer salary isn't enough for you, asterisk." I blocked her number. I blocked my dad. I blocked my sister, who had sent me a string of texts telling me I was a selfish, ungrateful brat. I cut them out like a cancer. And let me tell you, the first few months were hard. I grieved for the family I thought I had, for the parents I wished they were. But Liam was my rock. He held me when I cried and celebrated when we made it through another month in our little apartment on our own together. We built a life. A real one. It was quiet, and it was happy. We adopted a dog. We traveled on a budget, finding joy in road trips and camping instead of five-star resorts. I started my own small freelance marketing business, and it took off. Liam was still at his job, and he was brilliant at it. We were a team. We were enough. About 2 years into our marriage, something shifted. Liam had been working on a personal project in his spare time, a piece of software he thought could be really useful. He never talked about it in detail, just called it his little side hustle. One day, he sat me down at our small kitchen table. He looked nervous. "So, you know my side project?" he started. "Well, I got an offer to sell it. A big company wants to buy the technology." "That's amazing," I said. "Like, a good offer? Enough to fix the leaky faucet in the bathroom?" He smiled faintly. "A little more than that." He slid a piece of paper across the table. It was a document from a law firm. I scanned it, not really understanding the legal jargon, until my eyes landed on a number. A number with a lot of zeros after it. A shocking number of zeros. I looked at him. I looked at the paper. I looked back at him. Is this a typo?" He shook his head. "No, that's the offer." It turned out my quiet, unassuming husband, the man who drove a beat-up Honda and thought garlic bread was a luxury, had created a piece of software that was about to be acquired for, well, let's just say it was more money than my father's law firm made in a decade. Maybe two. Liam, it turned out, wasn't just a programmer. He was a goddamn genius. And now he was a multimillionaire. My first reaction wasn't excitement. It was fear. Is this going to change us? I asked him, my voice barely a whisper. He took my hands. "The only thing that's going to change is that you'll never have to worry about a leaky faucet again. It's still just you and me. I promise." And he kept that promise. We didn't go crazy. We bought a new, reliable car, not a Lamborghini. We paid off our student loans. The biggest change was that we finally bought a house. A beautiful, comfortable house in a quiet neighborhood with a big yard for our dog. It wasn't a McMansion, but it was our sanctuary. And about a year after we moved in, I found out I was pregnant. The news of Liam's success wasn't a secret exactly, but we didn't broadcast it. Tech journals wrote articles about the acquisition, but they focused on the company, not on Liam personally. But eventually, a local business paper picked up the story, connecting it to our town. And someone must have sent a copy to my parents. The first contact was from my sister, Megan. A text out of the blue. Asterisk OMG. Saw the news about Liam in the Gazette. So crazy proud of you. We should totally get coffee and catch up. XOXO. Asterisk. I stared at the text for a full minute before deleting it and blocking her number. The sheer audacity was breathtaking. Then came the voicemails on my business line, since my personal number was still blocked. It was my mother. Her voice was syrupy sweet. Honey, it's Mom. I know it's been a while, but I miss you. Please call me. I deleted them all. They were testing the waters. When I didn't respond, they escalated. They sent emails. They sent a letter. All of it talking about the importance of family and how they'd made a terrible mistake. Not once did they mention the money, but it was the screaming, silent subtext to every word. And that brings us back to my front porch. After I asked them, "Do I know you?" my mother just gawked at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. My father found his voice first. It was laced with indignation. "Don't be ridiculous, Sarah. We're your parents. We're here to apologize." "Apologize for what, exactly?" I asked, leaning against the doorframe. "Are you apologizing for calling the man I love beneath me? Or for telling me my marriage would be an embarrassment? Or was it for giving me an ultimatum, my happiness or your approval? Or maybe, just maybe, you're apologizing for the text message I got on my wedding day? You're going to have to be more specific." My mother started crying again. "We were just worried about you. We wanted you to have a good life." "I have a good life," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "I had a good life for years ago. The only thing that's changed is the size of my husband's bank account. And it's funny, isn't it? How you suddenly developed an interest in my life right after the local paper wrote an article about him. What a coincidence." Just then, the front door opened behind me. It was Liam. He'd heard the commotion. He came and stood beside me, putting a protective arm around my waist. He didn't say a word, just looked at them with a quiet, disappointed expression. Seeing him, my father's demeanor changed. He puffed out his chest and tried to take on his old, authoritative tone. "Son, we misjudged you. We see that now. We'd like to be a part of your family. Especially now, with a baby on the way." Liam just looked at him. "You had your chance to be part of our family 4 years ago. You said no." My mother held out the gift basket like a shield. "We bought this for the baby. It has a cashmere blanket. And organic everything." And that's when I lost it. Not in a screaming rage, but in a fit of laughter. It was just so pathetic. So transparent. "A cashmere blanket?" I laughed. "You think you can buy your way back into my life with a cashmere blanket? You disowned me. You told me I was dead to you because you didn't think my husband was rich enough. You didn't care about my happiness then, and you don't care about it now. You just care about this." I gestured to the beautiful house behind me. "You care about the money. You care about the status. You want to be able to tell your country club friends that your daughter married a millionaire. You don't want me. You want a story to tell at your parties." I took a step forward. "Let me be perfectly clear. We are not your family. Our child will not know you. You are not welcome here. The love in this family isn't conditional. It's not for sale. And you too? You're bankrupt." I looked at the gift basket. "You can leave that on the porch. I'll donate it to a shelter for families who actually love each other." With that, Liam and I turned around, walked back into our house, and closed the door. I didn't watch them leave. I didn't need to. I heard my mother let out one final, theatrical wail before they finally shuffled away. My life is peaceful now. It's full of love and realness. We had our baby, a beautiful little girl. Liam's parents are the most incredible, doting grandparents. Our family isn't the one I was born into, but it's the one we chose, the one we built. And it's built on a foundation a lot stronger than money. So yeah, that's the story of how I found out being disowned was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's crazy what a few commas in a bank balance can reveal about people's true character, right? And if you think that's insane, you should hear what happened when my sister Megan tried to sue us, claiming Liam had stolen a family business idea from her husband Chad. But that's a story for another time. Let me know if you want to hear it.